Hey there nation, and welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and we're back with an episode of Cheap Shots. This series focuses on saving you money on the miniatures wargaming hobby. On today's episode, we're taking a look at the new Kill Team Inquisitorial Agents box set that is now being released by Games Workshop, and how you could use this for your games of Necromunda. Now when it comes to this recent series of Cheap Shots, my objective here is to show you guys how to save additional money by using the same box of miniatures for different gaming systems. And the nice thing about the 40k line of miniatures that Games Workshop is coming out with, especially for Inquisitorial Agents, not only can you use them in Warhammer 40,000 Kill Team, but you'll be able to use them in Warhammer 40,000 as well. You can also use them in the boarding action skirmishing style game that takes place now for Warhammer 40k. At the same time, you can also use them for Necromunda, which we're going to be talking about today. Now, besides that, there's also a whole other slew of different games you could also use your miniatures for as well, especially a lot of miniature agnostic games. Games like Space Station Zero, for example, one-page rules, firefight. You could also use them for, what else, 5 parsecs. I mean, all kinds of different gaming systems are now available for you in order to use this one singular box set. Because, you know, as the overall, I keep on saying on this channel, the ideal situation is using the same set of miniatures for multiple games, so that way you can save money and at the same time play a variety of games with the same set of miniatures. So in today's episode, what we're going to talk about today is talking about using the box set of Inquisitorial Agents, which will be dropping soon from Ashes of Faith, Kill Team Ashes of Faith, and how you guys can use those in your campaigns of Necromunda. So that being said, let's get this video on a roll. Alright, so let's go on and talk about exactly what your gang list will look like if you decide to use the Kill Team Inquisitorial Agents in your games in Necromunda. So as you can see right here, this is the actual box set that actually is being sold by Games Workshop for people to purchase. And as you can see, it's actually a box set that consists of 7 miniatures. And now the thing that's interesting about this box set is that according to Games Workshop and the production information they provided for this, it's pretty much the most versatile box set that they have. And the reason why is because 4 of the sculpts in this list are interchangeable. You have 2 different variations of this sculpt over here with this guy carrying the icon banner there. You have another 2 variations for this character here with the spear looking weapon, 2 variations of this guy with the trench coat as well as the book, as well as this variation here with the guy with the giant eviscerator. Now these 4 miniatures here have multiple sculpts attached to them where you can make 2 different versions of that. Now the box it also includes what's known as an auto savant, which is this guy here who looks like he's riding on a scroll, as well as a tome drone, I believe. Tome Skull, I believe is what it's called. It's basically just like a little servo drone with a book on it, as well as the Servitor as well. This is the only one it comes with. But it comes with multiple options for weapons. You can take a heavy bolter, a multi-melta, and a plasma cannon, I believe, and that's the assemblies you can come up with. So what I did for this video is that I went under the assumption that you wanted to use every single sculpt that's available in this. So because if you wanted to make this gang list that I'm going to show you guys, you have to purchase 2 of these box sets in order to make the full variety of sculpts. Now, if you don't want to, of course, do that, that's perfectly fine. You could easily do it with just 1 box set. And the reason why that's the case, because when I made the list, I'm going to pull this up here real quick. When I actually made this list, I did so under the assumption that you wanted to play in the Aranthi Succession, where you have 2,000 credits in order to build your gang. You could easily do a 1,000 credit gang with just a normal box set if you want to, so that is perfectly fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually go through the list and talk about all the different sculpts and talk about what role they would play inside of your gang. So this one will be a little bit more, kind of a little bit more random in the way that we do the order, just because as you can see, I have pictures of all the different sculpts over here that I'll be going through one at a time to talk about exactly what you need to have for your gang list. So let's go ahead and talk about it real quick. So your Inquisitorial Agents will be a Venator bounty hunter gang. This gang list will be rated at 1,995 credits. For your primary skills, you're going to use shooting as well as ferocity for your primaries, and your secondary skills will consist of combat as well as cunning. So let's go ahead and talk about exactly what this list will consist of. So let's go to the first one here. So as you can see, first of all, as you can see, I have different photos for all the different types of miniatures that you have that you can make with this. And so we're going to go through each of these photos and talk about exactly what you have. First of all, you're going to use the Pistoleer sculpt, which is this guy over here with this really cool biotic arm with the plasma gun, as well as a suppressed bolt pistol. This person's going to be your hunt leader. It's going to cost you 245 credits. You're going to give them the shooter stat line so that they can take full advantage of the good ballistic skill attached to these 2 powerful pistols. And you're also going to take an armored undersuit with a mesh armor to give this fighter a 4-up armor save. Now the weapons they're going to be carrying are plasma pistol as well as a bolt pistol for 50 credits and 45 credits respectively. These are both very powerful close range shooting weapons, very high strength, high damaging as well. You could also use pistols in close combat as well, so that's also a nice thing about these two. Now, if you're the skill in this character, you're going to take the shooting skill fast shots, so that way they can fire 4 times, 2 shots with their plasma pistol and 2 shots with their bolt pistol when they actually engage your enemy. Now, unfortunately, because you don't have the guns blazing skill, gunfighter skill, which allows you to shoot both the pistols without any minus to hit penalties, you will suffer the -1 to hit penalty with your pistols, but because you're taking the hunt leader's shooter stats, it's automatically going to make you go to a 3 up to roll in order to make your shots. But with the close range bonus you give from the plasma pistols, the bolt pistol, that drops right back to being 2 again, so it's not even a big deal. So you'll be able to hit those targets no matter what. Not to mention you also be able to kick butt and take names in close combat as well. Now, the second sculpt that comes to the Pistoleer is the Quest Keeper. As you can see, they have very similar legs and torso. It's just the arms, the head, they're different. So the Quest Keeper has got this fighter here with a huge eviscerator, so let's talk about that fighter real fast. So the Quest Keeper will be one of your hunters. This fighter is going to cost you 195 credits. You're going to give this person the close combat stats because of the weapon they're packing, which is an eviscerator. Now, you give this player the House Cawdor Legacy for 30 credits. That way they can purchase a House Cawdor gear for themselves. You give them mesh armor for 5-up armor save, as well as a eviscerator from the Cawdor list line. Now, the eviscerator, of course, is a double-handed chainsaw, so it's going to be a really massive chainsword, cause a lot of damage in close combat. But the nice thing about the eviscerator in Necromunda is not only is it a massive chainsword that can cause a lot of damage, but it also has a strength 3 template flamethrower on it that you can shoot multiple times with this weapon as well. So it's dual purpose, which is really nice. And plus you have an auto pistol for a back weapon, just in case your eviscerator runs out of ammo for the ammo check, and you use the auto pistol as a backup shooting weapon as well. So these are the 2 of the fighters that you will have in your list. Now, the next one here we're going to talk about here is your Interrogator as well as your Enlightener. And your Interrogator and Enlightener are going to be 2 regular hunters in your gang. So the Interrogator is this guy here. This character is going to cost you 95 credits. So you give them shooter stat line. Then you have mesh armor for 15 credits. You give them a 5-up armor save. Twin auto pistols for 20 credits with man stopper rounds for additional 10 credits. So that way they get that strength 4 attack and shooting as well as in close combat as well. So yes, it's sad that the person does suffer -1 to hit penalty for shooting with 2 guns, but with the auto pistol getting that 2-up to hit in close range, you're going to be perfectly fine, especially when you hit with those man stopper rounds. You just be wrecking people left and right with that attack. Now, the Interrogator also has another sculpt, which is the Enlightener, which is this sculpt here. As you can see, the torso is exactly the same. The only difference is the arm head as well as what they have on their hips. Now, this is going to be another hunter. This one's going to cost you 145 credits. It's going to have close combat stats because of the weapons they're packing, and you're going to give them the House Cawdor Legacy so that way they can purchase close combat weapons from the House Cawdor lists. You give them mesh armor 15 credits for a 5-up armor save, and you're going to equip this guy with a great sword from the House Cawdor. Now, granted, I know that this miniature is actually carrying 2 swords, but you could just argue that he uses with such dexterity and speed or whatever that he basically does the damage output of a great sword. Now, the reason why that's the case because the great sword has the Sever weapons trait, which means as long as you inflict a wound, you don't have to roll on the injury die. The person automatically goes out of action, which is all kinds of amazing. Very powerful ability that. At the same time, I also got the versatile trait. I think you can hit targets up to an inch or 2 inches away, I believe, with the great sword. So just a great all-around good close combat weapon. You're also giving this guy an auto pistol, so that way you can get shooting attacks later on for a backup weapon. Equip this guy with man stopper rounds as quickly as you can whenever the opportunity arises. So the next fighters we're going to talk about on this list are the Mystic as well as the Hexorcist. And as you can see, these are the same, 2 different varieties of the same sculpt. The same torso, but just different arms as well as heads as well. So the Mystic as well as Hexorcist will both be hunters in your gang. The Mystic over here is going to be a hunter. It's going to cost 170 credits. You give this guy squat stats. Now the reason why you're giving this guy the squat stat line from the Venator hunter is because, yes, he's only moving 3, but this guy's not going to be doing much movement anyways. And the real reason why I want that squat stat line is for that 4-up toughness as well as that really excellent willpower score, so that way you can always get off your psychic abilities. But because what we're going to do is we're going to pay 30 credits for this guy to have a House Delac Legacy and another 30 credits to make sure he has Psychoteric Whispers upgrade to make him into a Psyker. So we're going to be paying a little bit more for this fighter, but the benefits he provides for your gang is amazing. And the reason why is because you give him Mesh Armor 15 credits as well as a Camoline Cloak for 35. And the reason why you give him that cloak is that way any of your enemies will suffer a -2 to hit him. One of range attacks if he doesn't move. And since he's got squat stat lines, they're going to be doing much movement anyway, so he's going to be using that Camoline ability all the time in order to keep himself protected from being shot at. You're also giving him an auto pistol for self-defense because, hey, it's Necromunda, and you always need something to defend yourself, and purchase man-stopper rounds as soon as possible. So like I said before, you're going to make this guy into a Psyker, and you're going to use the Divination Discipline for 2 reasons. One reason why you're going to use the Divination Discipline is because narratively actually fits in the Kill Team lore. They said these guys use Divination in order to see the future. So that could definitely help you out. But the other reason why is because you want Future Sight as well as Vision. Future Sight allows you to reroll any number of any number of dice for a single roll one time during a battle. So because of that, it's a really powerful ability you can use for this character to not only impact his rolls, any rolls that you make, whether it's rolls your fighters make or rolls that even your enemies make. It still counts because it counts as part of that future sight ability. Now, the real reason why you want this guy is to have his vision ability, which is a double action to get that ability off. And if he does so, all enemies within 18 inches or behind cover lose penalties for their cover. So if your enemy's behind full cover, for example, they're now counted as being in partial cover. And if your enemy's in partial cover, they're not in cover at all, which is going to make it perfect for your rest of your fire team to open fire upon your enemies and just to wreck face, so that way they take away the cover away from them. And that's exactly what the Mystic does best. Now, at the same time, you also have the Hexorcist. The Hexorcist, of course, is going to be one of your other hunters. This guy's going to cost 105 credits. He's once again going to have squat stat lines. And the reason why is because, yes, he's slower, but you want that higher toughness. And the reason why is because this guy's going to be sticking next to this Mystic and protecting him at all times, acting as a bodyguard. You give this guy a shotgun with solid and scatter ammo, as well as auto pistol for a backup weapon. Get man stopper rounds as soon as possible, so that way you can take full advantage of that. At the same time, you can also equip these guys with flails if you want to, because you can say this little skull here could be a flail weapon if you want to get that upgraded later on for those fighters. So these are the members of the list for both the Hexorcist as well as the Mystic from your Inquisitorial Agents box set. Alright, so the next fighters we're going to talk about for the Inquisitorial box set are the Penal Legionnaire as well as the Deathworld Veteran. These two guys are the same, different varieties of the same sculpt. As you can see, they have both the same torso as well as legs, and it's only the arms and the weapons that they had, so they have that are actually different. So you can have your Penal Legionnaire as well as your Deathworld Veteran, and these guys will also be members of your gang as hunters. Now, the Penal Legionnaire, which is this character over here, that's going to cost 190 credits. This guy's going to have close combat stats because he's equipped for close combat. You give him an armored undersuit as well as mesh armor, so that way they have a 4-up armor save. And you're going to equip this guy with the hand flamer because that's what he's packing here, as well as a chainsword for close combat attacks. This guy's going to be a close combat oriented kind of guy, setting people on fire with the template weapon from his flamer, and also chopping people apart with that chainsword. So it's going to be a really powerful ability there. If you want, you can get him another pistol as a backup weapon to use in close combat, maybe grenades too, so that way it cause additional harm. Now, your Deathworld Veteran, which is this guy over here, is going to be another hunter in your gang. He's going to cost you 160 credits. This guy has close combat stats because of the weapons he's carrying. He's going to have an armor undersuit and mesh armor to give him a 4-up armor save. You're also going to give him a chain glaive, which is going to be represented by this weapon here because it's the closest thing that we have to a pole type weapon in Necromunda besides a Carter stuff. But since there's no gun on it, I figured closest would be to a chain glaive to that. And give him an auto pistol for a backup weapon, and also give him man stopper rounds as soon as possible, so that was a strength 4 attack as well. And this is the members of your gang that would make up the Penal Legionnaire as well as your Deathworld Veteran. Alright, so now that we're done talking about the skulls that have interchangeable designs and variants, let's talk about the set of miniatures that you'll have all the time when you buy these box sets. First of all, you need your Auto Savant. You have 2 of these guys. You're also going to have 2 Servitors as well as 2 Tome Skulls from this kit. So what the question that becomes, what becomes these guys? Well, I'm glad you asked. First of all, let's talk about your Servitor. Since you're going to have 2 different Servitors, you're going to have 2 Servitors be 2 of your hunt champions in this gang. Servitor number 1's got a shooter stat, so that way they can take advantage of their ballista skill. They have an armored undersuit with mesh armor to give them a 4-up armor save, as well as a plasma gun because you can make a plasma cannon, but we'll just say a plasma gun for the sake of using on the tabletop, as well as a stub gun with Dumdum rounds for a backup weapon for strength 4 attack. And you also give them this fast shot skill, so that way they can fire that rapid fire plasma gun twice per activation. So really, really deadly ability right over there. And afterwards, of course, hunt champion number 2. You're going to use your second Servitor for this guy. He's going to be your hunt champion. He's going to have shooter stats, just like the previous guy, armor undersuit as well as mesh armor for that 4-up armor save. And you give this guy a melta gun. And the reason why is because you can make a multi-melta with this variety as well. And that multi-melta will be perfect for you getting in close range, putting on that really high strength attack on enemies and setting them on fire and melting into their baser elements. So you're going to give this guy a stub gun with Dumdum rounds for a backup weapon as well as the fast shot abilities that we can fire twice per activation when they get within range of that melta gun. So these are some examples of how you're going to use your Servitors for this box set. Now, as for your 2 Auto Savants, you're going to have 2 of these guys. My first suggestion to you is to use this guy as one of them as your hunter, and if you want to, you could also use the guy as a rogue doc, because you do have a rogue doc on this list. The other guy could be a rogue doc if you want to proxy for that. But for the Auto Savant that's going to be a hunter, that guy's going to cost you 135 credits. You give him squat stats, and the reason why is so that way he moves slow, but you want that higher toughness and also higher intelligence score because this guy's going to be using bomb delivery rats. You got that House Carter Legacy for 30 credits, that way you can purchase that. Mesh armor for 5 up armor save. And you can also purchase bond delivery rats for this guy for 30 credits. And the reason why is going to take intelligence score test to see if your rat actually delivers the bomb and explodes on target like you want it to. So that's the reason why I take the squat stats. At the same time, we're giving him an auto pistol for a backup weapon so that way he can defend himself as well. And speaking of the bomb delivery rats, your tome skulls could act as the various bomb delivery rats for miniatures if you want to as you play the game. So that way you can use those guys in order to fulfill that role as well. Now, the way you're going to organize this gang, of course, is you're going to organize your gang into 4 fire teams. Your support fire team number 1 will consist of your Servitor number 1 and auto savant number 1. Your fire support team number 2 will consist of your mystic as well as your hexorcist. Your assault fire team number 1 will consist of your Pistoleer, the interrogator, the quest keeper, and the death world veteran. And your assault team number 2 will actually consist of Servitor number 2, the enlightener, as well as the Pedal Legionnaire. So now that you know what your fire teams are going to look like, let's talk about exactly how you're going to use this gang on the tabletop in the gang overview. Alright, so let's talk about exactly how I can use this gang in the gang overview. So as you can see here, this is our little strip map that we created to create the tabletop, what's going to happen on the tabletop real quick. So as you can see, these 2 hexagons represent your enemy forces, and this is how your assault teams look. So first of all, this is how you're going to roughly deploy. You're going to have some fire support team number 1 be over here on the left-hand side, followed by assault fire team number 1, followed by a support fire team number 2, as well as assault fire team number 2 as well. Now the reason why this is the case is because what you're going to do is you're actually going to maneuver up your support fire team first. And the reason why you want to do that is because what this guy's going to do is lay down some suppressive fire, opening fire with their plasma gun directly into your enemy over here, like this. At the same time that's happening, of course, the bomb delivery rats are being delivered by the auto savant to basically hit whatever target opportunity might pop up and cause some problems that way. Now, while that's happening, what's going to happen is that your support fire team and your assault fire teams, because they're kind of equipped the same way, they're going to move up basically for a turn to get into position, so that way they can maybe take some pot shots at your enemy, but your support fire team is kind of like acting in this position here to just kind of basically set up a defensive position to go on the tactical defense by the strategic offense, meaning you're going and advancing towards the enemy, but your main goal is to make your enemy come to you. Now, if your enemy does respond to you, start moving directly towards you, what you're going to do is you're going to just actually use your fire support number 2, team number 2, with the mystic, who's going to use their divination ability in order to reveal the enemy targets. What that's going to do is going to allow your assault teams to then move forward and actually put the hurt directly on your opponent, because it won't have any cover bonuses to protect them. So your short range weapons will be to go off, even with you shooting multiple weapons and such, destroying enemy that way. Now, once that of course is taken care of, your fire support team can move forward directly towards your enemy. You can also assault forward if you want to your assault team, finish up whoever's left over for assault team number 2, and then swoop in the rest of your enemy and encircle them and destroy them that way as well. And this is exactly how you use this gang on the tabletop if you decide to go with this Inquisitorial Agents list. So in conclusion, this is a very interesting set of miniatures. They're full of character as well as different design sculpts as well, and they're really beautifully done as well. They have that really cool inquisitorial vibe, which oddly enough just kind of fits in the overall vibe of Necromunda as well. And that's one of the nice thing about a lot of the miniatures that are coming out for Games Workshop, is that a lot of them can be used for Necromunda as well as original gaming systems. So like I keep on saying, using the same set of miniatures for multiple games, ideal situation as well. Now, this is the list that I came up with. Of course, you can make whatever list you like to put these guys to represent any kind of gang that you want. But you know, if you're looking for something that's a little bit more thematic, or you're looking for something that's like kind of powerful, take a look at my list. If not, change it up. After all, I would love to see what other people come up with in terms of using gangs. Ever since I started doing this video series talking about using different kill team boxes for Necromunda, I've been seeing a lot of really interesting suggestions in the comment box about what gangs it can possibly be, whether they're cold traders or, you know, house scout or outcast or whatever the case may be. So I'd like to see whatever you come up with it as well. And if you want to make a video of your own talking about how you can do this, please feel free to do so and link me to it, so that way I can take a look at that video, or you can just put down the script in the comments below. Be kind of interesting to see exactly what you guys come up with. So like I said before, that's a nice thing about miniatures wargaming. I believe in the rule of cool, which means you should be able to use whatever you want for the game system you want, so long as it's within the general setting of that universe. And so because of that, I'm all about doing that. I'm all about saving money, and if you got people who hate you because you're doing it, well, just ignore them. They're probably upset that they didn't think of the idea themselves. So there you guys have it. That's good to do for this video. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is invaluable to us as always. Also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blogger.com for all the latest greatest hobby news related to this channel. That's good to do for this one, guys. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out and stay classy.